Hi, Astro Babes. Welcome back to Astrology by Ari. And of course, I am still doing the Caribbean Icon series looking at wealth, fame, and power in the natal chart. And we are doing today the final person from the island of Jamaica, which is Koffee. I'm just going to jump into a brief bio of Koffee. Koffee, whose real name is Michaela Simpson, is a Jamaican reggae singer, songwriter, rapper, DJ, and guitarist from Spanish Town, Jamaica. She released her debut single, Burning, in 2017, and in 2019, she signed with Columbia Records. She was born on February 16, 2000, and is 21 years old. In 2020, Koffee became the first and only female winner of the Best Reggae Album category. Straight into Koffee's birth chart, we see that she has her sun in Aquarius at the 27th degree. Of course, as we've been talking about in some of the other videos, Aquarius has to do with the 11th house, and the 11th house has to do with the community, large groups, crowds, and things of that nature. And so having sun being this bright light to the personality in that area, that is showing somebody who has the power to attract this type of energy, to have lots of friends, or really the 11th house is not really friends but more associates. So having a lot of fans, having a lot of followers, having a lot of worshippers. And we know that we have the 11th house as the house related to social media, the internet, and of course, as I said, large groups, crowds, things like that, the masses, right? So having sun in Aquarius at the 27th degree, the 27th degree of Aquarius is in opposition to Regulus, which we already talked about as the fixed benefic star that is now between 0 and 1 degrees of Virgo. So that's about a 3 to 4 degree orb opposition there. Even though we see sun being in opposition to Regulus and Regulus representing all of this high honor, it's very important to understand that because the sun is in Aquarius, this is going to be more reflective of an introverted as opposed to an extroverted personality. So having her sun in this specific position puts her at a heightened position for, international fame, recognition, in whatever craft she would have chosen. Mercury is in Pisces at the 15th degree, and we understand that the 15th degree is a critical degree. Mercury in Pisces, of course, Pisces has to do with music, and Neptune and Pisces usually on the 10th house cusp usually shows you somebody who is a famous musician or an actor, and also on the ascendant as well, famous musician, an actor, an actress, somebody who works in the creative industry. So having Mercury, which is communication, in the sign of Pisces, this is somebody who is very creative, ability to relate to persons at an emotional level, and to not only at an emotional level but at a subconscious level, really, because Pisces has to do with the 12th house, the things that we don't really see, that subconscious, our subconscious mind. So having Mercury in Pisces gives her the artistic ability to really touch people at a very subconscious level, and to really be able to influence others with her music. And of course, Pisces is known as a sign of compassion, and of course it's the 12th sign, which is the universal sign, to really relate and to connect to a large group of people with her emotion. So she has an emotional pulse and an emotional connectivity, one to her craft and two towards other people, and this is expressed by the way she sings, the way she speaks, and the way how she produces her music. Venus we see in Capricorn at the 28th degree. We know that advanced degrees usually bring some sort of mastery, because you would have amassed a lot of learning in your past life. So getting to a later degree of a planet means that you would have already accumulated certain amounts of knowledge and expertise. And so Venus being in Capricorn in the 28th degree, this is bringing a little bit of mastery to her earning potential. And of course, Capricorn has to do with business, has to do with management, it has capitalism, sort of big business, if you understand where I'm coming from. Instead of sort of a home type organization, it would be like an industry, a corporation. And so at that level, she would be able to really capitalize and gain a lot of influence or a lot of income from making herself into a big brand. Instead of, being successful solely in her hometown, she's able to gain success from a Capricorn perspective, which we're going back to the 10th house, which is the house of public recognition, over time. And because she's currently 21 years old, and we see that the maturity for her Venus is at 28, we know that around the age of 28, 29, 30, we're going to see the maturity, of her really being able to accumulate larger amounts of finances, based on her career. And 28 degrees is actually the highest exaltation, which is the third exaltation of Cancer. And so we see another element of, women, emotions, and that sort of emotional connectivity. Now, when it comes to finances, Cancer and the moon is not really the best influence to have, even though the moon does rule the masses. The moon tends to, be inconsistent. And so having Venus in Capricorn, hopefully that is going to be something that is going to be able to stabilize that energy, because, Saturn has to do with an accumulation over a period of time. So yes, now we see her Mars is domicile in Aries at the 3rd degree. The 3rd degree is the degree of Gemini. This has to do with the way we think, the way we communicate, the way we write. And so having Mars in Gemini, this could be somebody who speaks really quickly, but is also an incredibly quick thinker, quick actor. And when I say actor, I don't mean in terms of films and movies, but in terms of decision making. This is somebody who has a very quick mind, because third degree has to do with our mind, and who's a very agile writer, somebody who can get ideas very quickly. And of course, we see the creative influences there in the chart already, and Koffee is able to draw on these creative and artistic influences and translate those things into written or spoken word very quickly. And this could also speak to, Koffee having a bit of a temper or having significant drive when it comes to her craft and the investment into her writing and her, her spoken word. Okay, next thing we see is that she has Jupiter in Taurus at 0 degrees. So that means 0 degrees is also a critical degree. It means a beginning degree. But Taurus is actually a really good placement to have Jupiter in, because Jupiter in Taurus is talking about Jupiter being ruled by Venus. And we know that Venus has to do with luxury. It has to do with money. It has to do not only an expansion of, beauty in terms of the physical appearance, but beauty in terms of the aesthetics of the surroundings that a person will be able to accumulate. And of course, the wealth that a person could accumulate, because Taurus has to do with physical, tangible possessions. So there is an expansion on the ability of her, to gain these things. And because Jupiter is in Taurus at the 0 degree, this might mean that in her family, she may be the first person, to be able to achieve the heights that she's going to be able to accomplish. And come in conjunction to her Jupiter, we have Saturn at the 11th house. The 11th house has to do with Aquarius again. So Saturn in conjunction to Jupiter, that is going to delay some of the income earnings. And actually that goes back to what I was talking about in terms of her Venus and having, her Venus in Capricorn. And that Cancerian degree actually might speak to, that's interesting. It may even speak to, most of her income going back to her family, or her spending a lot of income on her mother, or her income being managed, because Capricorn has to do with management by her mother until she's 28 years old. Of course, I don't really know her that well to say any of these things, but either way, the Saturn conjuncting the Jupiter, this is actually a benefic placement. But of course, where Saturn is concerned, all of these things are going to take time. And we have both, Saturn conjunct the Jupiter, and then we have a Venus that is ruled by Saturn that is telling you that, there's going to be an accumulation of wealth, because Saturn in Taurus really teaches you lessons about money management. And, you learn these lessons over time, money management, physical possessions, and things of that nature. And you learn these lessons over time, and then by the time you get to your Saturn maturity at 36, you go through your Saturn return around 28 to 30, and then when you get to your Saturn maturity at 36, then you're going to really see the manifestation of all of the hard work and all of the lessons and the application of the lessons that you would have learned. Okay, so then she has Uranus in Aquarius at 17 degrees. Uranus has to do with, innovative ideas. Of course, it also has to go back to the 11th house. Uranus in Aquarius at the 17th degree. Uranus is domiciled in Aquarius. So again, the 17th degree is the second exaltation of Leo. So this is somebody who has a very unique perspective on things. They have a very unique approach to life, to their community. They may even be considered to be an outsider or different or unconventional in some way. And of course, 17 degrees is the second exaltation of Leo. So this is something that's going to be highlighted in the chart. Because we don't have house placements, because I'm not sure of her time of birth, I can't really say specifically where I'm going to see this, but her sun is in a very wide orb conjunction to her Uranus. So it could literally just be her physical self. It could be her personality. All of these things could be considered to be unconventional, different, creative, all of these things. But because Uranus has to do with shocks, change, disruptions, having Sun conjunct Uranus, even in this very wide orb, it's showing that there's going to be, a lot of chaos surrounding the personality. And of course, that's coming from the Aquarian 11th house place, which is not our friends and our family, but our community, our associates, people who we're not really connected to, but that large body of people who, because you, in this case, she's a public figure, have something to say. Can't ball in a life, man. So of course, North Node in Leo has to do with, the public recognition, fame, high honors. But the second degree in any birth chart represents the degree of supreme power. And that means she is going to be supremely famous. She is right now, what we have seen of her is not going to be the last of what we're going to see. And even as I spoke about that Sun Uranus, those comments are going to even come from wilder pools. So if the comments were coming from just her hometown in Jamaica or from the Caribbean, those things are going to exacerbate by levels that, we might not be able to understand, because she is literally a superstar. She is born to be a star. That is so amazing to see such a North Node at that degree and at that placement. Wow. She does have Pluto in Sagittarius at 12 degrees. That makes a very wide trine between her Pluto and her North Node, which is bringing an element of power to the fame. Her Mars does make a trine to the Pluto, so her regenerative abilities, her abilities to work long hours, to work hard, her drive, all of those things, they're there to help her to sustain having a very long career. And we see, because we have Venus in Capricorn, again, I'm going back to that, and because we have Jupiter conjunct Saturn, those are wonderful placements to have for persons who want longevity in terms of their financial earnings. Again, because I said there's this moon influence, there may be peaks, there may be valleys, but Saturn in Taurus is saying eventually there's going to be a time in her life where she is going to be financially stable to the point of, not having to worry about, where money is coming from if she came from a position where she was in extreme poverty, which I did not find out based on the research that I had done. But that's exactly where we're going to leave it for today. Thank you so much for listening.